Chevrolet.
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome on in, everybody. Happy Monday to you. Thanks for being with us on the program. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry here. Jeremiah Jensen to my left. We are at the John Watson Chevrolet. And if you're here every 6 months or so, JJ,
yes,
we get ourselves going here because we honor the prep athletes. Of course, this time it's for the basketball season for the Northern Utah region here. And John Watson Chevrolet has been doing this for a long time. And we're hosting another one tonight. And so we're going to be streaming all of it, too. So this is going to be a fun deal for us. Going to be a fun deal for the folks here. They put out more chairs every time we show up. More and more chairs. They have this thing just get bigger and bigger.
Open a new wing over here.
Oh, yeah. They blow out
just for the awards.
Yeah, they blow out they get the whole thing going. They got the pizza going on. So we're up here at the John Watson Chevrolet for the Player of the Week awards. And it's going to be an awesome night for these kids and their families. I love being able to honor those kids, and John Watson Chevrolet's been doing it forever. They know how to do it. Let's kick off the program. We got to jump right into the cut, top of the hour here. Scotty G's going to ride along here with us for a couple of minutes before we just wanted to get the man's thoughts on it. So let's jump in right now. It is the cut, top of the program.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, we're going to jump right in here. Scotty G on the program here with us. He just did 3 hours, so we're making him do a couple extra minutes here, but we appreciate you standing by for an extra few here. I was listening to you take some of those listener questions in the chat room on the way up, and it wasn't 4.5 minutes later that we had the reports officially start to kind of come down about Jerrod Calhoun leaving for Cincinnati, a move that everybody was looking at and going, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Now that it's actually happened, though, your thoughts on Coach Calhoun's tenure here and what he could do for Cincinnati, too, because, I mean, this program, it just keeps getting coaches in. I think the fan base at this point is like, yeah, whoever, bring them in, and we'll just end up in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it's rinse and repeat. So I say this, and I add to the total every year, it seems like. So next year will be my 10th year doing Utah State games, and that will be my 6th basketball coach.
That's crazy.
And they've all been good.
Well,
they're not getting fired because they're not doing well.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
Only one guy got let go. That was Tim Duryea after the first year.
Right.
And then after that, everybody's been successful. Everybody's parlayed that into big paychecks. And so I do think that this job will be very appealing to a lot of people just based on the success. And look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. If it's a place that people look at where they can go and win and then cash in, then I guess so be it. Because right now you've had 4 straight trips to the NCAAs. In fact, over the last 10 years, you've only missed the NCAA tournament 3 years, and one of those years you would have gone, but COVID knocked it out. So, I mean, honestly, this has been a tremendous run. And the fact is they've not only done it with different coaches, but the last 3 basketball coaches have been hired by 3 different athletic directors. And this will be the 4th coach hired by the 4th athletic director. And so you got a new president, you got a new AD, and now you'll have a new coach. So it's again, like there's a system in place, and it seems to work. And hopefully Utah State can keep it going.
So, Scotty, what is that system? Because I think people are looking at this and saying, how in the world is Utah State doing this? Nobody is more qualified to answer that question than you, because it feels like you're the only one who's been here the whole time. That includes athletic directors, school presidents, and coaches. Why does it continue to work? Why is it this bring in a coach and everything continues to roll? And different players, too, yet Utah State's basketball program continues to win at a high level and get to the NCAA tournament without continuity.
Well, JJ, I think you just answered your question. The one thing that's common is me. And so,
then you deserve all the credit, Scotty.
Back to you.
So
maybe they should hire you as the head coach.
So I want a raise because we see who's really making this thing go.
Definitely earned it.
No,
you deserve it.
Honestly, that's the $1 million question. And I get asked that all the time. You know, you're on the road or at different schools and you're like, hey, how do you guys keep doing this? And honestly, I don't know, because the presidents change, the ADs change, the coaches change. You're right, the players change. And so you got to go back to the culture and the fan base. And I know both of you guys have seen games up there. When you walk in, that atmosphere is immediately worth 6 to 7 points every game, just because there is such a high level of intensity there and so much of a love for the game of basketball that I think people feed off that. I think it's attractive for players to be a part of that. Now, certainly the financial element has to be there to match it, but I think Utah State has really grown in that level. They were at $2.5 million this last year, over $800,000 the year before, and they hope to double that again going into next year. So I think if somebody has a $5 to $6 million NIL budget in this new conference, in that environment, I don't see why there's any reason Utah State shouldn't be back in the NCAA tournament next year.
So I saw a lot of commentary too. The run that they had, and last night when they were making a game of it against Arizona there in the second half, I was like, "This is phenomenal. How would it be if they could knock off Arizona?" And I thought to myself too, like if this ends up being the end and Jerrod Calhoun goes somewhere else, the legacy is like that he's just another one of those coaches who just keeps having that success. But now the school's got to transition into a couple things, a new coach and the new conference that you mentioned, of course, the Pac-12. Gonzaga and Utah State, everyone, was on social media last night going, hey, those could be some pretty nice teams at the top of that conference from a basketball perspective. What about trying to balance out the add of the new conference on top of now bringing in the new coach too, because that's an added wrinkle to, have to, it's not a hurdle, but it's certainly, because I think it's a better situation, but it is another complication in all this.
Well, and certainly you look at Mark Few, he's the anti-Utah State. Gonzaga is the anti-Utah State because Mark Few's been there for, 22, 23 years, right. And it's rinse and repeat with him. Obviously, Utah State's got to get themselves in a situation where they can compete financially. That's the number one goal. And if they get to that, $5 to $6 million range, then you're in the top third. And Jerrod Calhoun would say that all the time. We don't need to have the most money. We just need to be in the top third. If we could be top, 1, 2, 3 in everything we do, from financial to everything else, then we will compete. And this environment and this culture will allow us to be successful. So if you're Cameron Walker, you're looking at it like, okay, not only do I need to find a good head coach, but I also need to find somebody that can fundraise, that can hit the streets, that can schmooze with donors, and that can help us raise that money that we need to get to. Because Utah State, frankly, it's all about the cash grab these days. And that's where your talent. It's not about facilities anymore. It's not about you charter every flight. It's not about that stuff. It's like, how much money can you put in my pocket? And if you want to keep Mason Falslev, who, look, Mason committed to Ryan Odom after his mission and played for, he redshirted with Ryan Odom, played for Danny Sprinkle, played with Jerrod Calhoun. This will be, if he comes back, this will be his fourth head coach that he's played with. And if I'm Mason Falslev, I'm like, well, wait a minute. No coach is loyal to me, so why should I be loyal to this place? And he should, frankly, he probably should test the market and see what else is out there. And Utah State will have to pony up in a big way to try to keep him. Same with Carson Templin. And so at that point, you realize, okay, look, if we want to keep this talent that we've raised and developed, then you're going to have to pay them. And if you want to keep other people to keep, or if you want to incentivize people to keep coming to Logan, then you got to pay them. So it really comes down to money. It's really what it's all about.
Yeah, this is a big moment for Cam Walker. We're going to learn a lot about him and find out what he's made of with this hire. And obviously, there's the financial aspect he's got to get in order too. That might even be the bigger challenge than finding the right coach. But as he's looking at this, maybe it's too early to ask this question, but is there a short list? Where does Utah State turn? Do they try to go back to that mid-major elevation that's worked for them, or do they try to find somebody who may stick around for a while that has Aggie ties from the past?
Well, that's, obviously when you look at what Utah State has done in this run, they've had a type. And so that type is lower mid-major conference, guy that's been successful, but he doesn't have to be crazy successful. Ryan Odom, of course, had that 16-1 upset with UMBC, but other than that, never went to the NCAA tournament. He had that one moment, and that was it. You look at Craig Smith. Craig Smith never went to the NCAA tournament at South Dakota. He won some games, but he never actually went to the tournament. Danny Sprinkle, he did go to the tournament back-to-back years at Montana State, winning that conference tournament. But then you had Jerrod Calhoun, who barely got Youngstown State over 20 wins. So these are not coaches that come in with a crazy great resume about making long runs in the NCAA tournament and winning their conference year in and year out. So that's not a prerequisite to be successful at Utah State. What you need to find, though, is an elite X's and O's coach, and hopefully a coach that can bring, sadly in this day and age, bring players with him, because you're probably going to have a pretty high roster turnover with Jerrod Calhoun leaving. And now you better have a coach that has at least ties to a program or ties to players that he's going to bring with him that can allow you to be successful.
Scott Gerard, you can hear him every day, sometimes coming into our program and making it better for a few minutes as well. So, Scotty, we appreciate it, man. We'll cut
Scotty.
you loose here so you can go do your family stuff here. And I'm glad that he's back.
Yeah, enjoy an off season too. You've been working crazy hard. It's been a wild year for the Aggies.
Oh, man, it's been fun. It's always weird when you go, and then all of a sudden it's like you have a car that just runs into a brick wall and it just stops. And you're like, wait, what? I can now repair my marriage? What's going on here? This is crazy.
Don't get too personal.
Well, and you got to repair the relationship with Lloyd now, too.
Oh,
again.
I know.
That's
Yeah,
exactly right.
Yeah, we got to
It's
get
all
right.
good.
There's some couples counseling involved for us. So.
Scotty, you got to make more friends.
I know. I'm running low. I thought I had more friends. I don't. So.
All right, Scotty.
Hey,
we
thanks,
appreciate
guys.
it, man.
We'll
Thanks
see
for
you.
hanging out that extra time. Scott Gerard, noon to 3 every day right here. Or noon to 3:15 sometimes. There you go.
Yeah, why not?
Isn't it interesting because now it actually does kind of make it fun because then you're going, let's go out and recruit a coach who's got some pretty good players that he could bring with him. Isn't that wild? I mean, that's what football
you kind of do that, right? That's the new thing.
100%. They do it in football. I mean, like you think about Devin Dampier coming over was a function of, hey, let's get Jason Beck to Utah. Because then I think he'll bring that the hotshot quarterback with him. And guess what? He did. And on top of that, he stayed, right? And then, Jason Beck goes somewhere else. But it is an interesting wrinkle of having to recruit coaches and players and, all at the same time and bringing some money in here. Oh, you just brought up an interesting name. And I will tell you.
I've got the guy.
Here's the thing, though.
I've got the guy.
Okay, roll it out here because I'll tell you a reason why
He has
it
a
won't
Utah
happen.
past.
I'll tell you a reason why it won't
Why
happen.
not?
But you tell me. Tell me who you're talking about, and I've got thoughts on this dude too.
High Point head coach Flynn Clayman.
That guy caught on fire. Which, by the way, Arkansas is a freaking juggernaut. That I would be afraid of those guys like crazy in the Sweet 16 here.
Yeah, sure.
And HPU brought it within 6
Yeah.
and scored 86 on Arkansas.
They
By
beat
the way,
Wisconsin.
they beat Wisconsin. And everybody saw the coach on the court and going crazy. If you know anything about High Point University, I only know this because my wife went to like a work conference last year at it. It's this weird like luxury resort university
right.
that has a phenomenal arena, massive resources. They have a student body that's bought in. They love it there.
They flew their students out to the game, like what, 3,000 miles?
Yes, and I think that it's
2,000 miles.
It's an interesting school. Now, are they paying him? I don't even know what the money amount would be for a Utah State head coach these days. You go to like whatever it looks like coming out to the Pac-12 and what a dollar amount would look like, because I would assume everybody's there and going, hey, I'm going to get a massive deal here going because it's the Pac-12 now. Or if it's the kind of thing where you're going to end up having to just cobble together, think about, Utah State pulled out all the stops and the most money they've ever spent on a head coach for a Bronco. I think they could do the same thing when it comes to a coach here, but obviously they're going to get a promotion. Didn't he just sign a new deal? That's my question.
Well, he was just promoted last year. Alan Huss left, and he took over the program. He was an assistant there. So his deal runs through 2030, 31, but everybody has deals, right?
Yeah.
He had a 5-year contract.
So does mine.
I don't know what the buyout is. I don't know. I'm throwing out that he fits the model that Scotty just talked about of that low mid-major. So they either had a run or he had a great program or they came close, but you see the building of something special at that small school. And he was an assistant coach at Southern Utah. He is familiar with the area. He has ties to Utah that way. I think he met his wife at Southern Utah. Like, I don't know how much that would factor into it. I'm just saying This is the hot guy who was really impressed with the NCAA tournament. We all saw him do what he did, and he'd be the perfect fit to come into Utah State. Can you imagine this guy at the Spectrum? It would be perfect.
There's an ice cream tie as well. So High Point University, stay with me because, obviously Aggie ice cream is a big deal. Okay.
It is, and it's delicious.
High Point University has an ice cream truck that just drives around campus and hands out free ice cream all day. That's a real thing.
Can I go to school there?
That is a real thing.
I probably shouldn't go
Well,
to
I was going to say, we can't go to school there. We're watching our figures, man.
No wonder they built a great basketball program. Who wouldn't want to go there?
I love how it's like, hey, how can we get these kids? Anyway, bottom line is Utah State has had tremendous success. The place is special. The Spectrum is special. The past is special. Why not look at it and why not sell yourself as hey, you come here. If you take a team to the NCAA tournament a couple of times, you're going to end up doubling your salary, tripling your salary. And because what was the deal that Calhoun just made with Cincinnati? I think they said it's a 6-year deal, right?
Yeah,
I don't know what
Twitter's down right now, so I don't have.
I don't know if the money is a situation. I don't know if the money is. The money is going to be giant. It's Cincinnati. It's a Cincinnati. Cincinnati's got a heck of a basketball history, and they're in the Big 12. It's a P4 program. They expect a lot, and they bring an alum back, and they're trying to do it for a long amount of time. It's a 6-year deal. I couldn't imagine he's getting less than $3.5 to $5 million a year coming in there as a head coach. And if you get that, that's about the running rate for all this now. So I'm bullish on the Aggies just because they've done this before. At some point, I'm hesitant to use the word luck. I don't want to use the word luck like it's something. I don't think that it's luck because
it wouldn't be luck at this point. This has happened multiple times. This is a pattern. This is a like Scotty said, this is a system. We can't identify what the system is other than the atmosphere and the environment that exists there in the tradition of greatness.
Where did Craig Smith end up after the Utah gig?
He's available.
Would that be interesting to him to come back?
That was the first name Scott Gerard mentioned today.
Oh,
he was talking about potential replacements.
Obviously,
it certainly worked well in Logan. It didn't work in Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
but I think we can agree that that's a completely different beast than Utah State. And I just don't think the fit was right. But the fit was obviously perfect during his first run in Logan. So I think that's a name you have to consider. And kind of going back, you've seen programs do that before where they go back to the well. That well wasn't dry. It certainly worked for the Aggies while he was there. I think he's on the list. He's probably somebody you got to talk to. But, man, I like Flynn Clayman. I think that fits exactly the mold of what they're looking to do. Go get that low mid-major and bring that guy in, and this thing will keep on rolling.
Well, the interesting thing about it, too, was that guy got all sorts of attention because of how fired up he was and how he really did. I think that they gave Arkansas as much of a fight as anybody has given that. That offense is bonkers. Arkansas is going to be a tough one in the next round, and we'll get to bracket stuff a little bit later because there's some teams in here, and I love the idea. Oh my goodness, did you see this whole thing about how the Cinderella story that Texas is?
It's laughable. We'll get to that later in the show.
I get so upset because
there's no Cinderella in this tournament.
No. Especially if you're at the University of Texas. Can we stop?
That nobody has more resources than Texas. I don't care if they're a 16 seed. Texas is a powerhouse.
Gonzaga's the original Cinderella,
right?
And Mark Fusel, Texas Cinderella.
And even now, does anyone refer to Gonzaga as a mid-major? If you do, that's silly.
Well, and
I know they're in a mid-major conference, and we'll see how people consider the Pac-12. We'll see how those programs elevate.
Right.
But Gonzaga is not a mid-major. You know what I mean? That's almost a blue blood at this point.
100%.
People were shocked when they lost in the round of 32. That's not a Cinderella.
No. And I'm glad that people kind of shot that immediately down. Yeah. I hope people started it up kind of tongue in cheek too, because in my mind it was just one of those deals that I think a lot of folks saw those comments and they're like, yeah, Texas is an 11 seed because they underperformed basically all season long, and then they're starting to put it together. And that's a good way to look at it, is if you can string some good years together, you are going to be you are going to get a massive raise somewhere at a P5 program. Now, for the High Point coach, I wonder if that's if he's the kind of guy that goes, no. I mean, if another power conference team is looking at him and going, let's take that guy. The guy they went 26-4 this season. Like that is crazy. And he wanted to be able to take those High Point guys as far as they could go in the tournament. That's probably about as far as they could get. He squeezed out exactly what he could have gotten out of that team. So
interesting reporting here from Mark D. Greenwood, who's the sports editor for the Utah Statesman, a contributor to KSL.com Sports. He reports that he's told that Calhoun did not address the team this morning in San Diego, but that everyone found out as the plane touched down in Ogden and phones got turned back on. Oof. He did not tell the team he was leaving this morning in San Diego.
Hey,
and to think that he didn't know.
Jet Fish thinks that's cold.
He didn't know. Coach Calhoun didn't know. Like this just all happened today.
You guys, I'm as surprised as you are that my signature was on that contract. Look, it's messy.
Yeah, apparently Calhoun's upset that word got out. But what do you expect is going to happen?
Oh, never. You'll never be able to keep that. And by the way,
coaches got to stop acting surprised when this stuff gets out because the team that he's negotiating with can't wait to let this leak and announce because they got to get all their people fired up.
Yep.
And so they reached out to the Jeff Goodmans and the Matt Norlanders and all these national reporters to think that you, the coach, can control that message. You're not going to be able to. And so it sucks that it's going down this way, that the players didn't know until they got home today. But that's the current state of college sports. And these coaches, they're going to bounce, and that's how it works. And it's cold, and it sucks. I feel bad for the team. They're not going to be too happy today.
Wait, you guys. Don't get mad at me. I wanted to tell you on my timeline. I kept it totally secret. I get it. Like, why would you bring that up when you're in San Diego? If
you've got to address your team as soon as you got to let the team know you're even talking. That's my opinion. You have got to let your team know once that game's over last night. Sit down and say, look, here's the reality. This may have been the last time we're all together. This is what's happening. I want to be honest and straight up with you guys about what's going on. This is my dream school. This is where I'm from. I want to go home. My family wants to go home.
Right.
You can't tell those young men in that locker room that you've been asking to do everything possible to sacrifice for you in that program for this long. You're going to keep that secret.
Yeah, but it would
until you feel like telling them
they would
not being not naive that word's not going to get out.
They would be upset either way, I think, because if he would have told them,
less upset if he told them before everybody found out about it.
We hadn't even left San Diego, and he told us he's leaving the team.
The team can't find out when they land in Ogden.
And then starts booling, and everyone's looking like this, and they all put their phones down.
Unbelievable.
And they look at coach. I mean, it's early for a Tim Robinson reference, but and if I don't like it, I'll be on my phone. That's Jerrod Calhoun on the phone going.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
My phone has a ton of games on it. If I don't like how this is going, I'm getting on my phone. All right. Well, that's interesting. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's. I mean, it is what it is.
It's never clean exits. It's always messy. It sucks. That's the world we live in. It's really tough though for fans and players and everybody to get behind and trust these coaches who are really in it for themselves and their gain. Let's just be honest.
Yeah,
they have a career and they have a ladder they want to climb. They use the school, they use the kids, they use everybody to climb that ladder. It's part of the deal. This is how it works. Players kind of do it too with these programs now. Players are going to bounce around where they're going to go get the money to wherever it's going to help them get to the league or where they want to go. This is how the world works, unfortunately.
All right. We appreciate Scotty G carving out a little extra time there and kind of give us some thoughts on that. But the Aggies have some work to do, and the brand new athletic directors got to fill some shoes. It's an exciting time, though. I moving into a new conference is awesome. It's great. Yeah. I think it's going to be
with Gonzaga. You have a chance to really elevate yourself. San Diego State as well. Should be a great basketball conference.
We'll take a break here. We'll come back. We got more to go right here. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on the Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Thanks for being with us, everybody. It is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah, Jensen. Thanks for being with us on the program today. We are up in Riverdale John Watson Chevrolet, easy enough to find. And, of course, a long-standing relationship with the high school, with the prep sports here as we honor the Northern Utah Players of the Week Awards, the basketball edition up here at the John Watson Chevrolet. We're in the showroom where we're surrounded by beautiful cars, vintage. And so my first truck was an old Chevy. We're Chevy people. Right?
Okay.
I don't know, share that with you.
You feel pretty comfortable here.
My dad passed down to us the need for Suburbans in our lives. We've had multiple Suburbans across the family timeline, but I drove that first. You know, you always remember that first one. It was a truck, and it was an old city vehicle. You know.
Yeah.
And my dad said, I'll help you get in this truck. You have to give me half of what you have to give me half. I had to basically empty my bank account, and it was worth it because I had a truck. But it was just one bench, same thing.
That's all you need.
AM, FM radio, no air conditioning because up in Washington.
Of course not.
Up in Washington, they were like, nobody got AC in cars. Why would you do that? That's an added luxury you don't need.
Yep.
And my dad was like, you just have to be available. Anytime somebody calls and says, can you help me move something? You have to be there. So that was the condition of him chipping in on that truck. But we're up here at John Watson Chevrolet. We love it. The Mammoth, we left the studio the other night, and we were like, this is going to be a tough one to try to beat the Ducks.
Yeah.
On the second night of a back-to-back, on an emotional 4-0 win the night before against Vegas, which was 3 goals in the first period, and then they just fought the whole dang time to just keep Vegas out of that goal, and they did it. And they had one late, of course, with the empty netter, but they get empty netted a couple times by the Ducks. It was ugly. It's the kind of thing that you sometimes see with those second night of a back-to-back when you have to travel. Yeah. And they got that. They respond with the win last night when LA tied it up late in that third period on the power play. I was like, no, this is going exactly how I think that we've seen some of these go before. But Nick Schmaltz was absolutely phenomenal last night. The first goal that looked like it was straight out of a SportsCenter top 10. And then to be able to get that second goal and so quickly into overtime and to get those 2 points, massive. We were just looking at the standings, and if they don't get it, they're in real trouble. And I say trouble. You're in the driver's seat right now. Staying there is such a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, so I'll explain where they're at right now. They've got a 5-point lead for that number 1 wild card spot, a 5-point lead over the Nashville Predators. They have a 7-point lead overall for a wild card spot ahead of the Los Angeles Kings, who they beat last night. So let's assume they didn't. So if they didn't even get to overtime, if they didn't get any points last night, they would have been at 78. Nashville would have been at 75. The Kings would have been at 74.
Right.
So suddenly you're only 4 points ahead of the Kings. You're only 3 points ahead of the Predators for the number 1 wild card. That looks pretty dark. And you've lost 2 in a row. And you've got Edmonton coming in on Tuesday night. Now you get the 2 points. Sure, the Kings got 1, but you're 7 ahead of the Kings, and you're 5 ahead of the Predators with just 11 games left. So things are really tightening up right now. The bigger the gap gets, the better chance you have, obviously. And they only have 11 games left to do it. So every point matters right now. And to get 2 points last night when it looked like it was slipping away was just massive for this team moving forward. They need every point they can get right now because that number 1 wild card spot is a premium. I would rather face the Anaheim Ducks in round 1, or, even if it's the Knights or the Oilers that somehow leap the Ducks in the standings in the Pacific, you'd rather be facing any of those 3 teams than the Colorado Avalanche in the first round of the NHL playoffs,
who are now at 102 points and back to doing what they were doing,
and they've officially clinched the playoffs.
Right, and so have the Stars, by the way.
Yes.
So the Stars and the Avs have both clinched, and then on top of it, I mean, it's just a matter of time here. The Wild are into the 90-point range as well, and so they're going to be just fine.
Yep.
But the Mammoth have a huge 11 games ahead of them. 11 games. I can't help but be haunted by the idea of St. Louis last year, who went on a 12-game win streak to end their season.
That's what Nashville looks like right now.
I mean, they're kind of getting into that. And Nashville last year was kind of an embarrassment, and they've swapped spots with St. Louis this year, who are down in the 60s in the point total.
Even the Jets, who have the best goaltender on the planet, are only 5 points out of a wild card spot.
Yeah,
they're there.
They've had a good few
and
weeks.
They've got
here.
12 games left to make up the gap. So this race in the NHL, it's new to us. we haven't experienced this where we're paying this much attention to it, where as a community we're emotionally attached to this. This is intense. This is a lot of fun to start with. It's very entertaining, and it's very intense with the point system in the NHL and the way it works, how this is all going to go and finalize, because it's totally up in the air right now. Utah at 80, the Jets at 70. There's 10 points between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams where anything can happen here in the last 10 to 12 games of the season.
11 games left, and they have 2 of them this week at home. You have the Oilers coming into town, then you have the Caps coming in. And, you know, they remember the fact that the Mammoth went in and beat them at their place a couple of weeks ago. But you're going to go the rest of the way. Let me just help you circle a couple of these on your calendar, because they get the Oilers twice. I think. Well, no, are they both?
Yes, they do.
So they're both at home, right?
Yes, correct.
So they get the Oilers twice at home. That's huge. They have in their third to last game of the entire season is also at home against the Preds. And I couldn't tell you what the season series looks like with the Predators right now. I'm not looking right at it, but the Preds and the Mammoth on that April 9th matchup coming up here in a couple of weeks, that's going to be huge because it's a 4-point swing in that game. You know, as much
right now it's 2-1 Mammoth. That'll be that's the 4th game between them, and the Mammoth have won 2 out of 3.
So they get that one at home at least. They have to go on the road to play LA, Seattle, and Vancouver. Vancouver should be an easy putt. You're hoping. But they end the season on a back-to-back against the best team in the East. The Carolina Hurricanes come to town, and then they hit the road and have to finish off at Calgary the very next night. So you play one of the best teams in the entire league, and then you have to get on a plane and play a team that's in your division who would be happy to ruin some things for you.
Mackenzie Weegar's former teammates, and then you finish the season at home with 2 against 2 Division One of them might be in the mix with Winnipeg, right. And St. Louis would love to spoil the party. Yep. So this is not easy. This stretch is going to be tough. If the Mammoth get into the playoffs and they hold on to that number 1 wild card spot, they're going to earn it. This is the who's who of the West they're playing throughout the rest of the season. The teams that are competing with them, and Carolina obviously is a Stanley Cup potential Stanley Cup champion. They could win it too. They're really good. So
is it a shock? Is it a shock that Caleb Denoye got signed to his entry-level contract already?
I don't think so. It's a good sign. It means he's not going to go to college, which, you know, I encourage all of you out there to consider going to college. But when you have the talent of Caleb Denoye, you probably need to focus on your NHL career. And this tells me that he's expecting to get to the league sooner than later, and so are the Mammoths. So
I like it.
When you take a guy that high, I would expect TJ Ginlow to do the same. You want to get these guys up. I want to see them in a Mammoth jersey, not in a Boston College jersey, if you know what I mean.
So I get the. It's just fun to be able to mention these guys' names every once in a while and go, oh yeah, there's stuff going on in the hopper that's going to be able
as good as this team is. They've got all this elite talent coming up,
and their core right now is already young,
right? And
then they're going to bring up like some superstar type guys.
This is the start of something special.
Denoye, I'll remind you, was the guy who they picked in this 4th overall in the draft because they stole that lottery spot, and they were able to get this massive talent real early in this mix. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We have a Weekend Warriors for you around the corner. The people who won the weekend. Got some fun ones for you. And you know what? Some surprises in the tournament that have been really, really fun to watch so far. Stay right here with us. We're at John Watson Chevrolet here in Riverdale. They are honoring the high school players of the week, as they always do every 6 months. This time it's the Northern Utah, the basketball players of the week. And so we'll be up here all day today. Stay here with us, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing. When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Thanks for being with us here on JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's that time to honor the folks of our Weekend Warriors, people who won the weekend. People having good weekends across the board here. Before we get to it, though, and before we chat with Corey Watson, we're up here at Watson Chevrolet, by the way, honoring the High School Players of the Week program here in Northern Utah for the basketball season. And the party will kick off tonight. You can see all of it and stream all of it. It's going to be awesome. The KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals, honoring people that impact youth sports in their neck of the woods with the Hero of the Week program. Beehive Meals Hero of the Week, KSLSports.com/contests. You can nominate somebody there. You listen every Thursday afternoon. to our program and we read those winners off. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Let's go first to the Cinderella story out of Austin, Texas, and the burnt orange of the unknown Texas Longhorns doing their thing in the NCAA tournament. Here's what it sounded like.
14.7 to go. Texas up 4. Innocenti back to Saint-Supéry. His three, right wing is short. Rebound to Swain. 6 seconds left. Ahead to Vokatitis. Vokatitis inside. Lays it in. 2 seconds to go. Innocenti inbound to Grant Foster. Tyon Grant Foster at the horn. It's over. The Texas Longhorns are going to the Sweet 16. From the first 4 all the way to the Sweet 16, Texas wins its 3rd game of the tournament. They beat Gonzaga 74-68, and the Texas Longhorns will go to San Jose.
And, of course, a big one, too, that sent the Johnnies to the Sweet 16. I didn't know it was this long.
Isn't
First
that
time
crazy?
since 1999 that the Johnnies have made it. The Red Storm have gone on to the Sweet 16. Of course, it took a game winner. It also took a mob boss who is your head coach to be able to get you there.
Exactly.
Here's what it sounded like when Dylan Darling hit that last one to put the Johnnies into the next round.
His staff making sure they know no fouls.
This is going to be Darling. He's got to go. Darling puts it up. St. John's is going to the Sweet 16.
So the game winner by Dylan Darling, by the way, his only 2 points of the game.
Wild.
Nice time to show up.
You want to know another crazy fact about Dylan Darling?
Yeah.
He averaged 19.8 points per game last year for the Idaho State Bengals.
Pocatello kid? I don't know where he's
He's
from.
from
Spokane.
Spokane,
Yeah.
Somehow Gonzaga and Washington State and all the schools up there missed on him.
I would, like, in a million years, you don't think to yourself.
Well, Washington State, he actually played at Washington State. Never mind.
Oh, he
They
did?
didn't miss on him.
Okay. But here's what they do. They go, hey, let's get that kid in who doesn't have any points.
Yeah,
Let's give him the
that
last
guy.
shot.
Of
2
all
points. 2 points in the game, and it's the biggest one that your school has
That's
seen
pretty
in
wild.
decades. So that's a pretty fun one. All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got more to go next hour. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen,
The biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on a Monday. Hopefully your brackets aren't as busted as mine. My 10-year-old or 11-year-old boy took the lead this weekend. He might not relinquish it. He's got it's in the 99th percentile or something. You may as well have told him that he won the lottery no, that's not true. That he got a 1,600 in the SATs. He's like, look at this bracket that I made because I'm so much smarter than all you idiots.
Yeah.
And he's right. You know what? He's right. I'm in second to last, and my 3-year-old's still beating me. So there you go. That's how brackets work. And it's not been so chalked this year, although all 4 2 seeds are still in the tournament, JJ. 3 1 seeds. Real shame to see Florida go out. I did love seeing Iowa's head coach and Florida's head coach like going at each other's necks last night. And and I will say too, the Mick Cronin, Danny Hurley, it's a shame one of those two had to lose. It couldn't just be both of them because
I would love to get Tim LaComb's thoughts on both of those guys.
I'm telling
because that's
Mick Cronin.
Coaches need to coach hard, but sometimes it feels like those guys go a little too hard. I'd like to get the opinion of somebody in the business.
It was absolute cinema to see Mick Cronin last night get that tech late in the game and his face get as beat red as it did, and then he gave some guff to a guy in the crowd who was giving it to him. I was like, this is as good as it gets.
They're fiery dudes.
Yeah. All right.
Real quick fact before we get to
I want to
Tim.
hear it.
We're going to talk about this more in the next segment, but I want to bring it up right now before we talk to Tim because we will do some NCAA talk here with Tim. This is only the second time in NCAA tournament history. This is credit to Jeff Borzello. This is the second time in NCAA tournament history where the Sweet 16 is made up entirely of teams from major conferences.
Oh, yeah.
When was the only other time? Last year.
Okay.
This is now a trend. And the mid-major in March Madness could be dead.
Utah State, you were our only hope last night.
They were the last mid-major standing.
I know. Joining us on the program, he is Tim LaComb, pre-half and post-game host, of course, for the Utah Jazz, and a guy who knows a thing or two about the NCAA tournament as well. Timmy, thanks for being with us, man.
Thanks, Coach.
What's up? I appreciated the Boston coming in, too.
I know.
I know that's your vibe.
Well, that was, I opened my mission call back in the day. I went to Boston, and, you thought, I read the words, and that songs came right to my head, So it was actually a throwback to, 175 years ago when I was doing that.
Well, it works where we're at here. We're at the John Watson Chevrolet, and there's 3 beautiful muscle cars staring at us. And so our producer Alex Napolis
Camaro SS 1967.
Oh, just it's awesome. And so I'm like, you look at those cars, and then you hear the Boston, you go, okay, that makes sense. You can't play some K-pop Demon Hunters on the way back while you're watching that. No. So, Tim. Let's start first with some college basketball, because I just love getting your thoughts on this thing, because you watch these teams that go through. I would imagine that you never turn off being able to watch these kids playing at this level, and you see the 2 local teams get bounced, and then you have these other teams that are still surviving into the Sweet 16. When you see where the tournament has gotten, and you've been able to be on some stats that, of course, have gone to the NCAA tournament, how much has it changed from the time that you were coaching and you were doing the assistant thing and watching those kids in the tournament versus now in 2026 when it's full blown professional basketball, it feels like?
Yeah, it's way different. And to y'all's point, Coach Rose used to tell me back in the day, and when we would, just like Utah State did, get tragically underseeded, he'd say this tournament is not for the little guy. This is all for a big old revenue share and a big party for the big schools. And I think that's, they finally kind of got it that way. But I think those are the tactics. I think Utah State being seated where they were was intentional. I think they think about stuff like that. But I'm also pretty jaded about the NCAA. But the tournament itself is awesome. It's got its own month, and everybody gets after it. The 2 local teams, I thought, BYU played so well in the Big 12 tournament, kind of figured out some things. And then, I just felt like the pressure of the moment, the pressure of Texas, their size and length, really made BYU kind of go back to isolation ball and standing and watching. 2 assists for a game was pretty crazy. And I love everything AJ did. And so don't get me wrong, but it was just with the injuries to Richie being the biggest. But I also think Dawson Baker was a big one. I think those legacy guys are guys, those backbone BYU guys are really important. So with all that being said, I thought Kevin did a great job of coaching out of that situation. But Texas just, they're still playing, so that's obviously a team that's put it together. And then I think Utah State was one of my favorite teams to watch in the country. Coach Calhoun, if anything, is about the detail. And you can see it in the way they close out the shooters and the way they force drives to help, and the fact that help's always there, the way they share the ball, the way they cut. Everything is with passion and purpose. And so it was a pleasure watching them. And they had that game right there last night. But I think we all know how great Arizona is, and they have a couple dudes that just answered. And Tommy Lloyd, in my opinion, is one of the best to do it, and by far the best person, one of the best people doing it. There's a lot of guys that you guys mentioned, Mick Cronin, and I referred to him as Lord Farquaad. He's the right as Dorothy D. Mount.
That's great.
Oh, my wife last night had a new one. My wife called him Timu Bruce Willis. She's like, "Who's this guy?" Jeez.
The Timu action figure, Bruce Willis. No, those guys are both really great coaches, but there is a lot of ego, and a lot of what you see with Mick is, he's got in his mind he's a hard-nosed guy, and he's got to prove it when he coaches. And I don't have any time for any of the nonsense. I just like guys that go out there and coach ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach Calhoun's headed to Cincinnati, another big blow for the Utah State basketball program, but I'm sure they'll plug and play like they always do. But it turns out that the players didn't find out until they landed in Ogden today, and they turned on their phones. The coach didn't talk to him today before they found out. He's apparently pretty upset that they found out before he had a chance to talk to the team. You were in that side of things with coaching. You weren't part of something like that I know of, but what's the proper way to go about that? How does a coach properly handle a departure like that? because you ask these young men to sacrifice so much for you, and then the second you have an opportunity to go do what you want to do, you're peace out. How do coaches handle this properly?
Well, I think a lot of time needs to go into it. I mean, it's you only get to do it once, and the way I've always tried to live is you keep bridges upright, and the ones that you can, and I believe that in this instance, probably with technology the way it is, I mean, it was probably one of those things that he thought, I'm going to get everybody back and we'll talk to them. But as you know, there's all sorts of scoops. I got a call last night to say it was done from a buddy of mine that's in the game. So probably regrets not getting to those guys sooner. But I don't think it should diminish. I don't think there was any ill intent. The one thing I do like is when coaches are really grateful and, they on their way out, they're grateful for their time because, it really is a team thing. The coach does the big part of the job, but he's representing the school and the brand and the boosters. And so, I mean, I've seen coaches go out and, do it really great. And then I've seen coaches leave and, and mum's the word for a long time. And I just believe the way you go out kind of speaks to what you're about. And
yes,
my experience with Calhoun has been nothing but great. And I would say it was probably just miscalculating time, if anything else, and trying to do it, at the perfect moment. And unfortunately, the perfect moment didn't happen.
Tim, as we see this Utah Jazz team getting toward the end of the year, and, I think we're all going to be looking forward to the rear view on a couple of the – I don't think we're ever going to look at the rear view and try to forget, these times because so many of these guys are developing. I certainly don't think we're going to be, thinking about those were the fun days when Will Hardy had to cut his teeth on losing a bunch of basketball games as a head coach as he got into the game. But as we see this season kind of winding down, and the 76ers beat the Jazz the other night, but it was another moment where we saw Ace Bagley doing the development thing. Has he been for you a guy that has been as advertised? Because he's certainly had some phenomenal games. And I just feel like he's grown so much, even just in the last month, that if you're a Jazz fan, you look and you go, they scored with that pick with Ace at 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think what he's done is he's validated the pick and then some. I think the real interesting thing to me in this whole process was kind of how he was mislabeled. How there was a lot of smoke put out there that he was more of a chucker and, his basketball IQ wasn't great. And I think he's come in and put all those rumors to bed quick. A very happy kid, a kid who works at his craft. And, you're starting to see the payoff from a season full of reps, seeing the same thing over and over and figuring out how to navigate it. And he's definitely picked up some major things along the way. I was looking at his opening night box, and he only took 5 shots opening night, 1 for 5, at 5 points. And, it's just that's probably my favorite thing over the last 6 years of doing this is seeing, the Jazz have that run, kind of the windows open, obviously the big move and the change, and then little by little just see pieces getting added to the team. And Coach Hardy and his staff all the way along have been a real positive constant to me. He's made every single iteration of this Jazz function really well. And as you guys said, it's not always about, it can't be about winning games this year because it's more of a development situation. But in terms of like watching the way that they share the ball, the way that they have improved, transition defense, without a shot blocker on the roster right now, having to go out there and fight like crazy, but kind of rebounding with these big teams and doing some things that are really impressive. So I think culturally, even though there's been a lot of losses, been a ton of positive. And, Coach Hardy really has been able to lay the framework. And so now you talk about next year and all of the new pieces and the way they'll all fit together, and then which of these guys are going to stick, and they're all making a case. I mean, Sensabaugh's had big nights. Collier's had big nights. Obviously, you talked about Ace having big nights. Cody Williams has been terrific the last 2-3 weeks. So in terms of trends, it's all trending in the right direction. And honestly, I can't wait for the raft to pull up on the Tank River this year. And we get out and the raft goes on and we head over to, we're getting into the main park now and we're going to ride the big rides.
Oh, Tim, we all want to ride the big rides. We can't wait for this. I'm so excited for next season. But watching all this play out, the pain makes sense and why they had to go through this. And speaking of pain, I want to talk about Cody Williams because this is a guy who has really struggled for the most part until the last month or so, where things have really clicked for him. And I love a story like that where everybody starts calling a guy a bust and says he can't do this and that, and all of a sudden it clicks and it works for them. And they realize the promise that they had when they were drafted or when people selected them, no matter what sport it is. And Cody Williams looks like one of those guys. What has changed with Cody? What is the difference? Obviously, getting a lot of reps helps, but he's had to work hard and he's had to make it happen. It looks like he has.
No, he had great points, and yeah, I mean, he was a guy who labeled a bust. As a 19-year-old kid. If somebody would have labeled me as 19, I've been a bust too. But luckily, you got opportunities to work on your craft. And the bottom line with him is, I do believe that he is a big-time student of the game, and what really unlocked the game for him this year is his cutting. Being able to play with Keontae demanding more attention and Lowry demanding attention, and Nurk having a year. Nurk had a year and demanded attention. And so Cody and Ace kind of got to play in that really nice spacing. And, like I said, the cutting and all the cutting and relocating and the catch and shoot threes and getting out in transition. So part of it's really like seeing it enough to do it. But Cody's put in hours and hours on his body. He got bigger and stronger, and he still needs to. So this offseason will be great for that. But yeah, just opportunities, having some success, gaining some confidence, building on that confidence. I mean, you guys think about, your first hits on the radio or your news. Everything is so, you can translate, to basketball. It's literally just getting an opportunity, getting up there and killing it and going, I want to do that again, but this time I want to do this. And that's where we are with a lot of these guys, and that's exciting to me.
Well, you've got a couple of games ahead, just obviously going to Denver, taking on the Nuggets. That's a team who, you look at any moment, you feel like when you've got the best player in the world or one of the best players in the world on your team, you've got a chance against those guys. How does I look at that game? You got Raptors, of course, tonight at home. You got Wizards before that. Those are two teams that are not necessarily into winning this week. But, hey, they passed the test against the 76ers at home the other night, which I thought was kind of nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, this is a pretty interesting group right now because there's some tender guys. In fact, the Jazz just re-upped Mezembang, he's been good. He's been really good. He's brought a ton of energy. And so I think, you're going to see guys coming in and getting an opportunity, and it's a great way to bring a bunch of guys through, while you're still all together. And so in terms of logistics, it's kind of a good time to do it, to get a feel for guys. And so I think this iteration of the Jazz, I think they're living up to what coach wants more than anything, and that's playing hard and sharing the basketball. And, some nights it's going to result in wins because they play so dang hard. And, it's been fun to watch because, again, this is not a season that, we're sitting here watching the playoff race, and we've known that for a while. But when you're adding finishing touches and you're looking at options and things like that, it's pretty intriguing. And, when you talk about what Ace has done this year, and he's going to be a fourth option, next year on a team that has got dynamic spacing with, people having to worry about Keontae, having to worry about Lowry and all he does and the way he scores. JJ, obviously, attacking mismatches because there's going to be a lot of those. But some of these young guys are really going to benefit from playing with three guys that, Keontae put an all-star type year together this year in his time. Lowry's been one. JJ's been one. So, it's exciting. The top level, the talent level is raised a ton, but also the depth and the pieces. And so that's where we're refining right now.
And, of course, the Jazz are going to have an opportunity, most likely, fingers crossed, to add another special talent in the offseason through the draft. And, even if the Jazz don't win the lottery this year, Tim, it feels like it's not going to be as devastating because you look 1 through 8, maybe 1 through 10. This draft is loaded. I'm sure you're watching the NCAA tournament and you're seeing some of these guys What are your thoughts on this draft class right now that you've been able to see? Do you think it's as good as advertised?
Yeah, I actually do. I've been doing the drafts for about 6 years now, and so while I haven't dived all the way into it, there's typically, on the top end, 3-4 guys, and then there's a drop-off. I do think there's a big old, 8 to 10 guys that can really help a team. And I think you're seeing, what a guy like Koa Pete, who's down a ways, but what he's doing at Arizona, obviously the Acuff kid at Arkansas, who could be interesting in the 4, 5, 6 area, depending on how it all shakes out. The top end with Boozer, Devonsa, Peterson. It's exciting. And, the Jazz just have to finish this season out, play the cards right, take that pick, and I'm telling you, I believe they'll get what they need. And you obviously know that it's not exactly what the Jazz need. They can tailor around it. The Jazz are great at moving and shaking. And so, honestly, from when I started this 6 years ago, being pretty landlocked, having 2 stars and not a whole lot outside of that, to now, the transformation has been incredible. It really has.
Tim LaComb, of course, you can hear him on the pre-half and post games, and you'll hear that tonight. He and Jake Scott carrying you through, of course, every one of those and getting you ready for those Jazz games, and then, of course, breaking down everything at halftime and at the post. Tim, we appreciate you joining us, man, as always, and man, we're just we're looking forward to whatever this looks like. I love all the euphemisms, by the way. You've worked in quite a few, like knowing the assignment, playing the cards right. I don't care what we call it. But let's get there to the finish line, huh?
Just get her done. I mean,
that's a good one.
Just get her done, man.
There we go.
Yeah, I do know this. We've got 11
little
games
cable
left.
guy there.
We've got 11 games left. It's sunny outside. I wore like a tropical short sleeve shirt today, so
I know.
I'm getting excited, for the break. But everybody should be excited about the momentum with the Jazz, and if we're going to have a hockey team in the playoffs. Rumors the Party Hounds may be playing on the plaza.
I know. Did we get that figured out or what?
Well, yeah, we're working it out, man. It's all going to be a timing thing, so we got to see how it plays. But the drummer's a big money guy, and he's rented a yacht in Greece for a month. So we're trying to work around his. We're trying to work around his life.
I love it. Tim, we appreciate it, man. Good luck tonight, and we'll talk to you again, man.
Love you, boys. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Tim LaComb. I was thinking about Tim this weekend because I was thinking about Utah going to a national championship game and how far, removed from that time frame we were. It all stemmed from a listener who sent a viewer who sent an email to TV and was like, "You got it wrong," and because I think it was pretty clear what you guys had said about, hey, they're trying to do.
Utah State has never been to the Sweet 16.
They said the whole entire state has never been to the Sweet 16.
Not the state of Utah. Utah State University. Utah State basketball.
You tell that gentleman with the blonde hair on TV, he got his crap wrong.
Wasn't me. But Sam got it right. Utah State had never been to the Sweet 16.
Of course he
Utah,
did.
we know, has been there multiple times, but hasn't been in a minute, and we'd like to see that change.
Yeah. All right. Well, appreciate Tim LaComb. And, of course, you can catch the pre-half and post right here. Right after our program tonight, you're going to get yourself the pre-half and post. And Raptors tonight. The Wizards come back to town too, right? Or the Wizards are coming to town on, I think, on Wednesday.
I think you're right.
Gosh. Those are a couple dog games that you cannot afford to just hand away.
You got to really come in clutch here, Jazz. You got to lose these games.
Yeah. Raptors are pretty decent. I feel like that they're trying to get some stuff done here to position themselves how they want to.
Wizards on Wednesday.
Ugh. Yuck. I'm not saying the Jazz yuck. I'm saying the Wizards are yuck. Like that team,
they have no hope, and they just signed 2 stars that aren't really stars anymore, in my opinion.
Oh, of course not. And imagine being in their spot. Jazz fans are going, gosh, get us out of this.
Oh, yeah.
There are franchises who are not interested in getting out of this. They would live like this year to year, and they prefer doing the lottery thing and just doing like the marketing of the check's clear for the TV broadcast revenue share that they get either way. And the bad owners look at it like that, like I get paid anyway. It doesn't matter. It's terrible. All right. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. We've got more around the corner. When we do join you next time, right when we come back, we've got tons still to talk about. JJ insists that maybe March Madness doesn't have the same appeal anymore.
It's not feeling madnessy anymore, if you know what I mean.
It's too corporate, all those guys taking over, man.
It's become a semi-professional basketball tournament.
All right, well, we'll come back. We'll talk about that and much more. Stay here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. Thanks for being with us on the program. We're at John Watson Chevrolet here in Riverdale, and we're jamming out here. By the way, you can jam out with Scotty G and friends coming up on Wednesday at RGS Exteriors, noon to 3, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Join Scotty G for his program there on Wednesday. Okay, I'm looking at a bracket here. We've got a bracket open right in front of us. Oh, Miami, Ohio turned out they're not as good as we thought that they would have been. They had that nice first 4 win. Then they ended up losing by 22 to Tennessee as an 11 seed. I'm trying to think if there was a really nice story from a upset standpoint, from a Cinderella standpoint.
Well, how about Texas coming from the first 4? Everybody counted them out.
Now, their coach, he's brand new to the game, isn't he?
Never heard of that guy. You're great. It's a great point. What there isn't.
High Point
for a minute.
We brought
for
up
a minute.
We brought up High Point, getting that first round win, and then they played tough against Arkansas for sure. But after that, it's a who's who of single digits that are left in the tournament of seeding, and then a crazy 11-seeded Texas team. That's I think they're the only double-digit seed, and they don't feel like a Cinderella story. It's a joke to call them that because they're spending as much money as anybody on the planet.
They are the only double-digit seed left in the tournament, and after that it's 9 Iowa, which
that's a little bit out of nowhere because you don't expect the Hawkeyes
but
to
it's
do
Iowa
much.
who's in the tournament almost every year in the Big Ten, and they produce NBA players. Yeah, it's chalk heavy. And outside of a couple, in like the Santa Clara, Kentucky game, that was a wild finish. Dylan Darling last night, but that's a kid that was playing at a mid-major last year, who's now playing at St. John's, which is not a mid-major.
No.
So where'd the mid-major go? What happened? Utah State was the last team considered a mid-major from a mid-major conference.
So where are the
that lost?
Yeah, where are the storylines? Like, because in my mind, like Nebraska is the one that feels the most out of nowhere, but they're also
they were in
a 4
the top
seed.
10 most of the year.
I know
they're stacked.
They just have never been.
Right.
They're the Indiana of. They are to basketball as Indiana was to football.
Pitch that as a Cinderella? Give me a break.
No, of course not. And there's part of me that goes, hey, cool. I want them to keep going. I think that's fun. That's a fun story. You look at the Big 12 teams and you go, all right, let's see what these guys can all do. And because who's left from the Big 12? You got Arizona, you have Iowa State, you have Houston.
Arizona, Iowa State, and Houston.
That's it?
And that is it.
That's it. Okay. Now, Iowa State, Houston, and Arizona, every one of those teams could win the national championship.
Yes.
And that's
although Jefferson's hurt for Iowa State, so I don't think they win in the Sweet 16 without him.
They beat Tennessee.
Not without him. Not without him.
I do get the point about it is fun every year when you get that 14-3 or you get that team that's a 13 seed that goes to the Sweet 16. Texas feels like it's fake. It's not a real Cinderella. I don't know. When you brought up that point about, hey, there's only been 2 times in the history of the NCAA tournament that they've gone this far and they haven't had a mid-major in the tournament, and it was this year and last year.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it has become that quickly, not just a trend, but the norm that you're going to see.
I think it is
because guys go from NIL money goes, hey, if you're a decent player from Hawaii and you were a 13 seed and some coach saw you and they go, we played the same arena that those guys did. I liked what I saw out of that number 14 from Hawaii. Let's bring him in to fill in the blank. Let's bring him in and have him play at Texas Tech, at Arizona State, whatever it might be. And The reason you get them is because you can pay them money that these other schools weren't able to do. Now, from a sports standpoint, JJ, isn't this what we're seeing in football too? Where you're like, yeah, and you know what that is? This roster sharing, so to speak, makes the game, makes the level of basketball better than we've ever seen. And I could argue that we are seeing the best basketball probably that we've ever seen in the NCAA tournament because of how much talent. Yeah, you're right. I mean, not having to be very much fun
by having it like this. Where is that, Matt? Where's St. Peter's? Where's Fairleigh Dickinson? Where's George Mason? Where's Florida Atlantic?
Matt, who was it? Was it Oral Roberts a couple of years ago? Also
where's Oral Roberts? Yeah. Where are those schools? Where are those storylines? Where is that Cinderella run that attracted everybody to this great event in the first place? When you take that away from it, what does it become? It becomes a professional basketball tournament. I'd rather watch the NBA playoffs, to be quite honest.
Yuck.
Serious?
Well, no, I'll watch the conference finals. Those for opening round.
Because you're right. The quality of play for a lot of these teams is better because they're getting guys on their rosters that otherwise would be playing overseas or somewhere else or in the G League or in the NBA. So there is a slightly better quality of play among the big name teams. But look, High Point's the lowest seed that won a tournament game this year. They were a 12. It's not like they were a 16 seed. They were a 12. The only mid-majors to win were High Point, VCU, St. Louis, Utah State. That's it. That's the only mid-majors that made it to the second round. I'm not counting Gonzaga. That's not a mid-major. Where are the mid-majors? They're gone because they can't compete at this level anymore. They can't even sniff it. Outside of a team like High Point beating a Wisconsin team that was built to be beat in March anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the chalkiest tournament yet. It was as chalky as it was last year.
Yeah, the Florida Gators being outed as the first number 1 seed to go out of the tournament is like everybody's looking around going, ew, like you guys got beaten the tournament already as a 1 seed?
Right.
That's ick. All the 2 seeds are still sticking around. How many 3 seeds are still around this thing? All the 3 seeds are still there too?
Oh, sorry. Virginia got beat by Tennessee.
Yeah,
so that's the exception.
So that's the only one.
Illinois and Michigan State and Gonzaga got beat by Texas.
Okay.
Sorry. The 3 seeds did take a couple
of those. But all of the 2 seeds are still there. 3 of the 4 seeds are still there. And your final 4 will likely be that's why my kids win in the bracket because he just picked all the high seeds probably.
And that works nowadays.
Okay, got my news.
I think didn't all number 1 seeds make it last year?
Yeah, all 4 were in the it was the first Final Four with all number 1s in like 18 seasons.
So why are we having a tournament then? Why are we having a tournament? We already know who the best teams are.
Well, that won't put butts in seats at the old Buffalo Wild Wings, JJ.
That's my point, though, is what happens when the magic of March goes away and this just becomes a professional basketball tournament. Are you still interested in tuning in? Are you still curious? Are you still going to watch? Are you still going to fill out a bracket if you know who's already going to win? That's not the fun of it.
Right.
It's lost its fun a little bit. It's too predictable. And I think this is bad for the NCAA tournament. Now, what can happen to change that? Nothing, because this is the new model. This is the new world of college sports. It's the haves and the have-nots, and the gap's going to get bigger. I know that. But it won't be long before we don't see a High Point even have a chance to compete. We saw Utah State got seeded as 9th. Arizona's head coach, Tommy Lloyd, said that wasn't a 9 seed. That was a 6 seed at best,
right?
At worst.
I'm glad he said it. I saw that, and I was like, good.
And
good
you know what?
Them.
The Aggies, they busted their butt, and they got it down to 4.
They got back into it, yeah.
With the team that's probably going to win the national championship. So don't tell me those teams couldn't compete if the playing field was a little bit more level. But it's not. It's not going to change. And as long as this gap continues to grow, goodbye madness. It's not going to be mad anymore. It's going to be predictable and boring.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. This show is neither predictable nor boring, okay? We're going to keep it rolling here. We're at John Watson Chevrolet here in Riverdale, and you can catch some of the best Chevys, of course. You just parked this brand new Suburban right out here. That looks nice, doesn't it? Yes. It looks like you would need – that's part of a motorcade. You know what I mean?
That's what it looks like.
All blacked out. It's one of the premieres.
Looks like somebody special is inside it.
We could go do the rest of the show from in there. Should we be the special people in there?
I don't think we qualify.
Stone and Brandt would be sent through the roof. We're just going to move real quick over to Suburban.
Can you guys stuff the cameras on the side there?
All right, we'll come back. We have more to go from the John Watson Chevrolet.
We're going to do Suburban karaoke.
The Northern Utah Players of the Week Awards for basketball. They are hosting it tonight right here at John Watson Chevrolet. We'll come back and we'll chat with Corey. Stay here, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Basking in the sports misfortune of others to help make you feel just a little bit better about yourself. As JJ and Alex present,
yes, we got beat. We got beat badly.
It sucks to be you.
Look at that. I just got word we had some extra Jazz tickets kicking around at the station, and we're going to give them away right now. How about caller number 12? It does not suck to be you.
No.
If you're calling number 12 right now, you get yourself 2 lower bowl tickets to see the Jazz and Wizards coming up on Wednesday. That's this week. So go check it out for yourself with the 801-575 zone. That's 801-575 zone. Call number 12 gets a pair of lower bowl tickets. See Jazz Wizards this week at Delta Center. Handful of home games left on the season, so sneak them in right now. 801-575 zone. I'm going to quickly go through the list of people who it currently sucks to be from over the weekend. Sucks to be Utah State. Just lost their coach, Jerrod Calhoun. Sucks to be Jerrod Calhoun's people who let it slip before the team hit the tarmac from San Diego. Everybody's phones turned on, and that's how they found out that their new head coach was.
That's brutal.
They're going to have to find another place to live. Hey, but good news is some of you guys are going to be Bearcats in the future.
Can you imagine Mason Fallsliff having to do this again?
I think they all saw the writing on the wall.
I mean, we've been talking about on the show for a couple weeks now. As soon as the Cincinnati job opened up,
as soon as they fired him officially, yeah.
Oh boy,
yeah.
He's it's his alma mater. He played college basketball in the state of Ohio. He's from the state of Ohio. His family's from the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
And he's incredible.
Yeah.
He's a great coach. So it made a lot of sense.
Sucks to be St. Mary's, who just lost Randy Bennett as their head coach after 25 seasons. That's crazy because that you just assumed that guy was going to finish it out there. You know what I mean? Like
I can't imagine St. Mary's basketball without him.
I know. It sucks for BYU fans because Randy Bennett's got your number. I don't care where he's coaching. He's in the Big 12, taking on BYU. They've seen this.
They cannot get away from this guy.
We should have asked Tim about it because
he knows Randy Bennett.
He's really close with coach, and so that's an interesting one. Sucks to be Mick Cronin. Darn it. They got bounced in the
Coach Farquhar out again.
Lord Farquhar gets bounced from the tourney. Sucks to be the Gators who got ousted, and then sucks to be Vanderbilt also.
Oh, that shot. That now we talked about how the madness is gone.
I know.
That would have been an all-time March Madness moment.
It would have been fun.
And there's people have been putting still shots on social media of the ball actually
how close it was.
The cylinder.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did that come out? It was halfway down.
It's like when you watch those golf tournaments and they do it in slow motion and the ball goes, I'm going in the hole. Psych. Yeah.
Fred Hoiberg thought it went in.
Oh.
You could tell by his reaction.
Oh, my goodness.
Because he saw it the cylinder, and he instantly thought he had made it.
Yeah, that's crazy. We'll come right back. We got more to go around the corner. When we return, Cole Bagley, our Utah Mammoth insider for KSLSports.com, is going to join us, give us some thoughts on the most recent wins, and then that nasty loss against the Ducks the other night. But moving on and moving forward, this team is still in control of that wild card 1 spot. We'll ask Cole about it next. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex.
Don't touch that thing!
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. We're at the John Watson Chevrolet here in Ogden. Thanks for being a part of the program. We always appreciate their support. Also, the Northern Utah Player of the Week programs. JJ's going to blitz at the during this segment here so we can go do some television down in Salt Lake City, which is where the KSL broadcast house is found. Is that right, JJ?
I hope so, because that's where I'm going after this. So,
all right.
Unless they want me live somewhere else, up in Logan, perhaps.
Yeah, Yak is going to
breaking news up there.
Yak is going to come in, and of course he's one of those. He's the guy that helps pick some of these players and figures out who these folks are, who are the players of the week, and they do an awesome job. And so Jake is going to join us in a couple of minutes here. Let's kick off the program as we always do, though, with the cut. We'll jump right in here, and we'll get to our Utah Mammoth insider for KSLSports.com, Cole Bagley. So let's do it right now.
It's time to talk hockey with the Utah Mammoth and NHL insider on KSLSports.com, Cole Bagley on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Portion of the program brought to you by Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com for all your trusted local needs in retirement with financial fiduciaries, TrajanWealth.com. Cole Bagley appearing on the program, nice enough to do it, and it's all brought to you by the good folks at Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. Massive goal last night in overtime to get the winner there by Nick Schmaltz, but the goal that got him there was that first one where he scooped that puck up into the air and then hit it out of the air like a baseball. My kids were already hockey fans more than they've ever been, and then last night solidified it. Cole, that was phenomenal.
Yeah, I would argue that hockey players are the best athletes. I mean, not only do you have to be incredibly athletically gifted, you have to be a great skater, you have to be, physical, but you have to have incredible hand-eye coordination. And that goal by Nick Schmaltz just might be the best goal in Mammoth history, in terms of pure skill. I mean, the fact that he was on the forecheck, he lifted the opponent's stick, shot it, chipped the rebound, and then batted it in to give Utah a 2-1 lead a 3-2 lead in that game was pretty phenomenal.
Cole, we're starting to feel the pressure of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's not quite here yet, but in this final stretch, I think we're all last year it kind of felt like a pipe dream, right? Now this team is trying to hold on to this spot. They're there, they're trying to hold on to it. And when it was 3-3 late last night, oh my gosh, are you getting that sense too that everyone's feeling it in the organization, everybody in the building, of how intense every moment is right now as you try to hold on to that number one wild card spot?
Yeah, I think so. But I think for Utah, we're seeing some of that growth and maturity. Obviously, they've had a couple hiccups along the way. Losing to the Blackhawks a couple times was not ideal. Losing to Pittsburgh after being up 2-0 was not great, but they've bounced back. They beat Dallas, they beat Vegas. They were in it with Anaheim on the second half of a back-to-back after already picking up 4 points on the road, and then they played a good team in LA. I mean, LA is right there in the wild card race. Last night was a big win to only get 2 points, but to steal one away from the Kings. And there's a lot of veteran experience. There was a lot of veteran experience on the other end of the ice, and I think for Utah, Bear talked about resilience and maturity a lot in his postgame press conference last night, and he said it all comes down to belief. He said that he can feel it, the players can feel it. There's just this camaraderie, there's this collective sense of belief that they can do this, that they can beat anybody on any given night. They're proving that. They beat some of the best teams in the game over the last couple of weeks. They've gotten some really impressive wins. They've taken care of business on the road, and they've put themselves in a good spot. I think as of this morning, their chances to get in were at about 96%. So, yeah, I mean, I think the pressure is definitely present, but they're embracing it, and they're relying on a lot of those veterans to really help push them through to get the job done.
Cole, as you've seen, obviously getting to that 80-point mark, I was actually looking at a stat during the game. They were talking about this on TV, that this team, prior to coming to Utah, had only surpassed the 80-point mark once in franchise history. Wow. Of course, last year they got to that 87 mark, which was short of the playoffs, but they're likely going to get themselves into that 90 territory. Certainly, if they're going to want to be in the playoffs at that wild card one spot, they've got to be there. When you talk about how, I mean, I can't help but be haunted by that St. Louis 12-game win streak at the end of last year, and then think about with those poor Calgary Flames who were just, marching right along thinking they were going to be in the playoffs, and then they get bested by the tiebreaker with the Blues. I mean, there's 11 games left. A lot can still happen.
Yeah, time can change. Even though Utah has more than a 95% chance to get in, those odds can quickly, flip around the other direction. I mean, that's kind of what's happened to San Jose over the last week or so is, they were up at like a 50+% chance to get in, and their odds have just plummeted over the last week and a half as they've lost quite a few games. They've lost 4 in a row, and so same thing with Seattle, right? They've lost 3 in a row, and they're 3-7 over their last 10. So for Utah, it's continuing to play the way that they have. There can be no. You can afford a loss here or there, maybe 2 in a row max, but you cannot. You can't drop 3 or 4 in a row, because that's when you're going to get into trouble. That's when the teams beneath you, the Nashville Predators, the LA Kings, that's when they can pounce, and jump ahead of you. So, luckily for Utah, through 71 games, they've got 80 points. They're 5 points ahead of Nashville, and they're 7 points ahead of LA, while 9 points and 10 points respectively ahead of Seattle and San Jose. So Utah is putting a good amount of distance between them and the rest of the pack. There's 11 left for Utah. The Mammoth probably need to win 6 or 7 to make sure that they comfortably get in. If they win 5 or so, you're going to be flirting with that wild card line that separates those who get in to those who don't. So, yeah, still a lot of work to be done. This isn't going to be easy. At the beginning of the year, one of my biggest predictions is that it was going to be a dogfight for them to get in, but luckily, they're getting incredible contributions up and down the roster, right? Every night, both the same guys and, different players are stepping up. They've been able to rely a lot on that top line. They're getting incredible goal production from guys like Dylan Gunther and a handful of others. Nick Schmaltz really turned it on last night. Michael Carcone continues to play well. Jack McBain's probably playing the best hockey of his season. The defense is holding it down, and they're getting good goaltending, not great goaltending, but they're getting, good enough goaltending to win enough games here. So a lot of hockey left, 11 games to go, but, I think they have what it takes to get it done.
The Edmonton Oilers come to town on Tuesday night. This is another big game, and 2 points against the Oilers would really, really help the Mammoth's cause. And I look at the standings, Cole, and this Oilers team has been to the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years in a row, but I'm looking at them now, and they're at 77 points. They're at risk of falling into that wild card situation, which nobody would have predicted before the season. What's going on with the Oilers? Because that's a team that should be at the top of the standings, you'd think, but they've struggled this year. Yeah.
I think injury has been an issue for them. Obviously, Leon Draisaitl's been out for about a week or so, and they've just kind of taken a turn for the worse. And of course they would. When winning is so reliant upon, two specific players, not to say if they don't have, a good amount of talent up and down that roster, but, when you have two of the best players in the world and one of them goes out, it's going to be hard to kind of sustain your current trajectory, your current path. Another issue for Edmonton is they have not figured out their goaltending situation. They traded Skinner to Pittsburgh for Jarry, and Jarry has just been abysmal. They're actually relying upon former Utah Hockey Club goaltender Connor Ingram right now. He's their starter, and he's good, but he's not elite. And he's struggled as of late. And Edmonton has lost 2 in a row. Like I said, Draisaitl's out, and last I saw, Draisaitl was over in Germany. That's where he's from, but he's not even with the team right now. He's hanging out, back over in Europe. And then I saw a report, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but Connor McDavid decided to just leave practice. No injury or anything. He just got up and left. So I would say that frustrations are probably high for this team. They're obviously in their playoff window, but they have not been able to get over the hump to beat the Florida Panthers, and things are not going particularly well as of right now. They do have looks like they do have a 4-point lead over the Kings in terms of the wild card spot, or staying in the top of the Pacific. So they're a wounded animal right now, and Utah needs to take advantage of that tomorrow.
Cole, talk to us a little bit about what the signing of that entry-level contract for Caleb Denoye means. I know that a lot of it has to do with the fact that, Well, number one, I don't know if it totally puts him well ahead of schedule of some of his development, but also some of the rules have changed about signing these guys early. They can be 19 and they can have these pro contracts, and that might have affected it too. But what do we know about the best? This one of the great young talents that the Mammoth are waiting on in Caleb Denoye, that guy, and I signed that entry-level contract this weekend.
Yeah, it's significant. It shows that he's made the progress that he needs for Utah to kind of, start to really bring him into the fold. And, the difference for him and TJ Ginla and Cole Baudouin is, the NHL, AHL, and CHL are closing in on an agreement that would allow NHL teams to send 19-year-old first-round draft picks to play in the AHL with no limits, whereas previously you have to be 20. It's looking like that's going to drop to 19, which would give Denoye eligibility to play for Tucson next season. And by signing his entry-level deal, he does become ineligible to play in the NCAA. So that kind of shows, the direction that both he and management are looking at. Is it seems like he's going to take that step towards the AHL this next year. I would anticipate that he will not make the Mammoths roster coming up this next season. So, we'll see, kind of how his journey continues to develop. But this change definitely helps a lot in terms of the development of these young guys. And Tucson could be absolutely loaded with talent next year. Anticipating that there will probably be some of those prospects that make the roster, but you could have the likes of Ginla, Denoye, Baudouin, Boots, Simashev, and Lamoureux all playing down in Tucson until the front office sees that they are ready to go at the NHL level.
Give me an idea on TJ Ginla in terms of what his development has been, like how well he's been playing. I know that he's been on fire down there, but I also know that they don't want to do things too quickly. But how quickly are we going to be able to see one of the biggest names, of course, in the hockey family, be able to be a part of this the big roster?
Yeah, Tej is probably the most exciting prospect at a minimum offensively that the Mammoth possess in their pipeline. If you scroll through the Kelowna Rockets social media pages, it's just a highlight reel of Mr. Ginla. I mean, he has just an incredible ability to create offense for himself, which can really separate, the elite players in the game from great players, from good players. But at the same time, he's also very complimentary. He racks up assists. He's also able to score just jaw-dropping type goals off the rush, in close, in tight, snipes from deep. He's got it all. And in terms of his progress, I think he's going to have a really good chance to potentially make the opening day roster for the Mammoth coming up. He's gone back to his junior team. He's put up unbelievable numbers this season. I think he's approaching about 2 points per game. I think he's somewhere in the 1.8 to 1.9 range. So he's just putting on a clinic up there. The biggest thing for Tej, though, is physicality. When he was with the team during training camp, when he was going through preseason games and practices, the biggest hurdle for him was he just kept getting bumped off the puck. And a lot of that has to do with his size and, with his young age. Obviously, he's still evolving as a young man. And, that's going to be the biggest thing for him is coming into training camp is, does he have the size, does he have the strength? Does he have the physicality? Can he compete with those guys? And, there's plenty of players that do. I mean, look at the captain. Look at Clayton Keller. He's not a big guy by any means. Look at, Michael Carcone, Kyle Yamamoto. You have to be, you can be obviously undersized, but you have to be gritty. You have to be physical. You have to be willing to battle and to go to the dirty areas and to assert yourself. And so that'll be the biggest thing for him to try and make the roster. If he does, we'll see exactly how long he stays up. But the benefit is, for him and for Denoye and for Baudouin and all of those prospects is, they can take the Gunther, Doan, Boot, Simashev route where, hey, you know what, you can make the opening day roster, and, you know, if you play well, you're going to stay up here. But, you know, if you need a little bit more time, we can send you down to the AHL where you can play for Tucson, and you can basically force your way back onto the NHL roster. That's what Dylan Gunther did a couple years ago. That's what Josh Stone did a year ago. So, yeah, I would imagine that we'll see, you know, a couple of those guys in a Mammoth uniform next year. It's just, but, you know, how long that lasts is completely dependent and up to them.
Cole, thanks for hanging out, man. We appreciate you taking some time to join us, and we'll talk to you again next week on your weekly appearance. There he is, Cole Bagley, joining us here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, on JJ and Alex for his weekly appearance. We'll take some time here to take a quick step away, and when we come back, we'll send it over back to Alex and Jake Hatch, who's taking over for JJ for the final couple segments of the show. More in a moment here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex with the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. JJ just stepped out to go down and do some TV down at Broadcast House in Salt Lake. Enter the best-dressed man in this whole building right now. Jake Hatch joining us on the program. Are these? But he does the thing where he wears the suit pants, shirt and tie, Jordans down here. Yeah. What are you, a lemma?
I'm telling you.
What are you, a lemma Harrington?
These high school basketball events, I've done these for conservatively at least 10 years. The best shoes that show up at these events are the basketball events, because these kids are rocking all kinds of kicks.
So this is him. This is him trying to show up against the high schoolers.
I've got to hang
with them. Hey, listen, Unk.
I am an Unk.
This is what my kid.
Have you stayed and watched any of these? Because I've watched him walk around and try to look cooler than the basketball.
I try.
It
doesn't go very well.
It's a tough.
You're
thing
pretty
to
cool.
Do. It's a tough thing to do. In a former life, I served a mission with one of Utah's Mr. Basketballs back in the day, and those guys are too cool. The basketball players, like football players, are pretty fun, but the basketballers, they kind of. I mean, it's different, you know. It's one thing to have like a good football game. You're like, hey, he ran for 180 yards, but if you windmill dunk on somebody, like that brings a little bit of different level of achievement. Hey, we're here at the John Watson Chevrolet here in Ogden. I wanted to make sure we chat with Corey here. Corey, we got some players rolling in here. We're going to speak with some of them coming up in a few minutes. We've been talking about how big of a deal it is. The famed sweatshirts have now shown up in a brand new shade too. You got to be special to wear one of these sweatshirts, and people fight over these things like they do the pizza.
Can you imagine those with the Jordans?
Oh,
gonna be fire.
That's the real deal.
This is a big deal for you guys because you're plugged into the community, and so often, you know, these kids are like, you know, some of these families, you know, some of the people who walk in there, they may be former customers or people that later on they go, hey, you gave an award to my kid back in the day, maybe 10 or 12 years ago. And it's a big deal for you guys, and you keep rolling on, and we appreciate that support. I know it's important to you guys too.
Yeah, it's good. We actually get a lot of people in to buy cars from us because we do stuff like this, and which is not the reason we're doing it, but it's always fun to have those people come in and then get to know them.
Well, it's different when they actually do they have this back and forth where people are, you know, they come in and they have this experience with this where it's a party. You said, hey, like we like to have the parties. We like to celebrate these kids. We like to make sure that but their parents are a huge part of this. And community businesses like John Watson Chevrolet is also a big reason why a lot of these kids are able to have these types of things.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that we do have a little piece of that action. You know, some of these kids couldn't do things if businesses didn't support them, because there are some that don't have great family support, but for the most part, they've got great family support.
And we get to see those parents who are proud of their kids to see what they've done during the year. And so we're going to be able to honor some of them tonight. So John Watson Chevrolet, nice enough to host us as usual. Corey, thanks, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks. And you guys should get a good plug too, because you're the real deal.
Hey, we're having fun. Jake's hustling, man. This is his baby too. Like this has become such a big deal for him, and we get to do a lot of stuff together. And so we honor all the preps across the state, and we couldn't do it without you guys. So
you guys are great. I feel like we've become pretty good partners on this.
That's awesome.
You guys are the OGs, because like we've expanded this out through Salt Lake and Utah County, but it all originated here.
I will say too, this is the best party. I get to go to all of them. This is the best party.
You're right. You're right. It's all right.
Corey, thanks, man. We appreciate it. All right. Jake, what's up, man?
Not much. How are you?
Good to see you. Yeah, you're not just the best dressed dude in the building. You're kind of an important guy. You got a lot going on here. Plus, this is a long day for you, so I appreciate you coming up and being a part of this, man.
It's all good. It's one of my favorite things to do. I will say this: the pizza they have up here for this event makes the trek worth it.
Is it the Mount Ogden or what's
it's the pizzeria? Matt would be able to tell us what's the name of the pizza.
Corey, what's the what is it? It's just pizzeria.
The pizzeria.
Ogden Pizzeria.
Yeah,
Boom.
it is fantastic. But yeah, we love doing this. We bring athletes from all over northern Utah to this event from multiple high schools, and it is a ton of fun. The nice part about this is we have the football event in the fall, obviously. Yeah. We have 15 winners from that. This one expands out to between 26 and 30 winners because we have both boys and girls basketball players and a lot of phenomenal basketball players that'll be being honored tonight. So
yeah, it's cool. Well, we appreciate John Watson Chevrolet's support of it, obviously. But hey, before I do get to chat with you about some things, though.
Yeah,
we get to actually chat about stuff. Jazz Raptors tonight. The Raptors are trying to win games. That's a good place to be in for this Utah Jazz club, right?
The Eastern Conference is bunched up right now, and Toronto's trying to hold on to the 5th spot. They're trying to kind of figure a way to finesse their first-round matchup so they can hopefully make a run. And
well, if they get up to the 4, then they obviously would be hosting. They'd have that the home court advantage with that.
And I do think that they're trying to avoid the Boston Celtics.
I think everybody is.
Well, yeah, sure, everybody is, but Toronto in particular. For what there's a podcast I listen to that they talk about all the time that Toronto and Boston, it's a bad matchup for Toronto. So yeah, obviously Toronto's got this circled now. Toronto's going to be not at full strength tonight. Jakob Poeltl, obviously former Utah star, he's unavailable tonight. So they're going to be a little lighter in terms of their overall lineup, but I do think that Toronto is very motivated to get this win, and we all know that Utah is more than content to keep dropping some games here down the stretch.
No Cody Williams, no Isaiah Collier, no Key, obviously, still either, but yeah, you know what that is? It opens up the door for guys like Ace Bailey, Bryce Sensabaugh. Those two names have been – I think we're going to be talking about those guys, even though you might see a lot of other folks that you might be one and done in terms of like how often you're going to see their names mentioned. I think Ace Bailey and maybe even Bryce Sensabaugh have been not just playing themselves into, roles on this team, but like in the case of Ace Bailey, I think that he is such a big part of this future. And I don't think it's a coincidence. He just so happens to be having, these big nights. He keeps having career nights.
Yeah.
Is there a little bit of like, but it's inflated a little bit, or are we being fooled a little bit because of the situation, or has Ace come that far this much over the past month or so?
I think there's a happy medium in all of that. Yes, he is getting an outsized role to be able to play and obviously filling that, but I don't know if you guys have played the clip today during your updates. There's a clip from Will Hardy where he talks about the fact he actually believes that Ace is getting better defensively than he is offensively.
Yeah.
And the point is that Ace is tall enough where he can be a secondary rim defender. And in this day and age of the NBA, you have to be able to defend the rim with multiple guys. Because think about next year. You're going to have Walker Kessler out there, but they're going to be schemes devised to pull him away from the basket. Well, if a guy like Ace Bailey can rotate down and defend the rim as well as he's doing right now, if that is translatable to next year's full strength lineup, that means you are going to be very, very difficult to break down because those secondary rim defenders are worth their weight in gold. And that's what a guy like Ace Bailey is showing right now is he's getting a lot of extra minutes he may not otherwise get right now, but that is helping him get better, especially on the defensive end. That should pay major dividends as he takes on more of kind of a role player spot next year. Because we all know the starring guys are going to be the Lowry Markkanens, the Jaren Jacksons, but Ace has got all the skill in the world to be a true two-way force in the NBA. And the best part is he's just getting started here.
Yeah. And look, what you can't fake is like the comfortability factor when you're playing in NBA games and you're on an NBA floor and then you're used to putting the ball in the hoop on a nightly basis or getting better on defense. I mean, this Jazz team, historically bad defense the last 2 years, not just this year.
It's not been great,
Jake. It's also been last year.
Yeah.
And there's part of me that goes, yeah, I know that it's going to change a little bit next year, and I know that Jaren Jackson Jr. adding him to the mix, that's a huge deal for that defense. But you've got to shave about 15 points a game off to be able to be like even in that kind of 10 to 15 range of the league. If you're the Celtics and you're only giving up like 106 a game or whatever it is, I think they're tops in the league on defense. But the Jazz, whatever that version looks like, it's not just developing these guys from a shooting standpoint. But you hope that the defense button gets clicked next year.
Correct.
not just with Walker and Jaren Jackson Jr. coming back, but that these guys have also learned a thing or two on how to defend in the NBA.
Exactly, and you're right. The Jazz defensive efforts and outputs have been.
It's been the most pissed that Will Hardy's been all year.
Well, and and I completely understand why he's upset about it, because I think he understands how far they still have to go on that front. But I'm fully expecting that this Jazz team, once they can reconvene this fall for next season, we're going to see, I think, a more concerted effort, especially on the defensive end of the court, because you have all the bodies out there. You'll have Walker Kessler back. You'll have Jaren Jackson. You'll have Lowry Markkanen. And, yeah, I don't think Lowry and Keontae George are particularly great defenders, but if you compare them with the likes of Walker Kessler and if Ace Bagley, that defense is translatable, and you kind of pair guys and you mask each other's strengths and weaknesses, that is a very nice mix to have. And the best part about this is, Alex, there's another lottery pick on the way, and who knows what that might be. We'll have to see where the Jazz ultimately land in the lottery, but yet another body to this mix here. You could have a very, very talented lineup.
Interestingly enough, too, you think about how everybody was like, yeah, the draft last year is a pretty good class. You had Cooper Flagg. He was pretty much it. And then after that, there was some good play. Now we look at the guys who came in, and they're all pretty dang good. I mean, Conca-Nipple's going to be your rookie of the year probably.
Correct.
And
I'm looking at VJ Edgecombe the other night.
VJ Edgecombe really, really good. Yeah. And I think Ace Bailey has been exactly the guy that is that number 5 pick that they were anticipating to be, luckily for Jazz fans, because we've seen some stuff come up short before where you're like, that's a high pick for a guy who didn't necessarily do much. All right, we'll take a break. Before we do, though, every Monday you can hear on DJ and PK the Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealers Strong Play of the Weekend with the play that they pick. And I just so happened to be in the car most of the Mondays taking my kids to school. And I heard it today for myself with my own ears. And so I know what the play is. If you were able to hear what that play was, then you can give us a call right now and get yourself an Amazon gift card, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE, 801-575-9663. I'll give you a hint since I already heard it this morning. We already played the clip at one point today, and it was a great ending, a great finish.
Yes, it was.
To a great sporting event. Okay, we'll take the break there. 801-575-ZONE, by the way. You can give us a call right there and tell us what the Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealers Play of the Weekend was. We'll come back. We're going to chat with some of these prep athletes here when we return, and we'll get you ready for the Utah Jazz versus the Toronto Raptors. Stay here, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. JJ went down to do his TV duties down at KSL 5 TV, and of course, one of our favorite people who I get to sit next to most of the year, a lot of different times.
That's true.
Jay, Yak, thanks for hanging out, man. This
Absolutely.
is a long day for you because this has been like you have marathon days typically just because that's the nature of working with DJ and PK on top of the fact you got to work early.
Well, I have to wake up at 4 a.m. So it is early, but I got home for a little while, hung out with the kids, and then zipped up here. So we're good.
Well, Jay Catch, of course, does an awesome job, and he dedicates a ton of time to be able to be a part of these Player of the Week awards across our entire state. And of course, this is, you mentioned, the one here at John Watson Chevrolet is the OG of the Northern Utah High School Basketball Player of the Week awards. And we get to do it for football. We get to do it for basketball now too. And joining us on the program right now, these guys are both out of Morgan High School. Bracken Saunders and Jake Hansen. You guys, this is pretty fun to be able to do this, both of you at the same time here. That means Morgan probably had a pretty decent year. I don't imagine a lot of years. Look, I have to play the Little League kids in football. There's not a lot of years that Morgan has bad years in football, basketball, athletics, otherwise. How cool is it you guys get to share this moment together? Jake, I'll ask you first.
It's way cool. Never done this before, so with Bracken would be cool.
Bracken, you're the like the old hat. You just win awards left and right, I guess. That's what it made it sound like. So how cool is it to be able to have this? Your families are all here, and a bunch of your different peers also who won this award across this entire year of basketball.
Oh, I think it's great. I think it's nice to see everybody come together. I mean, everybody here can play basketball, and it's nice to see.
You've got to give a shout out to your families because you wouldn't be here without them.
They're all
right?
sitting right here.
There's a lot of pressure.
They're going to get in trouble.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's about how important is it to have that kind of support system for you guys to be able to make sure that you can kind of just do what you want and play the sport that you love?
It's everything. Just having my dad with me through the whole high school career. He's the reason why I got this good. He's the reason he brought me to church when I didn't want to. So it's just, it's everything.
I love it. You guys are part of this class of guys who are going to get guys and gals who are going to get honored tonight here. The sweatshirts are always are like a niche thing. Everybody wants the sweatshirts from the Player of the Week awards. You get the pizza up here, but we love being able to honor you guys. And so many of these athletes, their families and everything, we want to congratulate you guys on an awesome year, and congrats.
Okay.
And what are you going to point out some stats here, Jake?
So real quick.
He's going to embarrass you guys.
Just
Hold
today,
on.
3A Player of the Year.
Okay, no big deal.
First team All-State, am I right?
Oh my goodness!
So these dudes are ballers.
I know they kind of did the shucks thing for a second here. That's the Morgan humility. I've seen my kids lose to enough Morgan teams to know that.
Okay, obviously you guys celebrated a state championship this year. Obviously, and made a run at that. But how does it feel to be honored as, in your case, the best player in your classification?
Well, I mean, it's a great honor, of course. Jacob helped me get there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if he knows, like he led the state, or close to leading the state in assists.
Yes.
So, you know, he pretty much helped me out with that.
The old Stockton Malone up in Morgan right here, man.
Pretty much.
We're watching it right here. I love it. I love it.
So obviously these guys, they're playing kind of the shucks, the humility cards. And these guys are absolute ballers. The nice part is it's indicative of everybody who's going to be here tonight, because every player that we're going to honor tonight has got game far beyond what I ever aspired to have in basketball. And I love the fact that we get to honor people like you guys every single week.
I appreciate it, guys.
Fellas, congratulations.
Appreciate
on
it.
an awesome year, and thanks for being a part of the program tonight.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Bracken Saunders and Jake Hansen, Morgan High School. Give them a hand, you guys. We're already right here. Might as well. I love it. Yeah, look, a lot of the parents and families have already filed in here, and so as we wrap things up here and we get you ready for the Utah Jazz coming up here in a couple of minutes, Jake, how does this one go tonight versus the Toronto Raptors over at Delta Center?
Well, I think obviously considering the lineup that the Utah Jazz are going to throw out there, you'll see a lot of these 10-day guys get an opportunity. Bez Bang got another 10-day contract. David Locke made a very funny comment. How many guys do you think took a pay cut to play in the NBA, considering he's a Yale graduate and probably could be making a whole lot of money on Wall Street right now?
I do love that, because obviously Locke has the tie to Stanford, and and
I'm just saying,
there's a bunch of people who are like, basketball's career's nice, but we're gonna need you to go back and get your MBA.
Exactly, he's right about that. But the nice part is, a lot of guys getting that opportunity. But looking forward to seeing what Ace Bailey can do for a follow-up after what he did on Saturday night, because he was absolutely electric.
So how many times has he eclipsed his career high in the last few games, even this year? I think he's done it 3 times.
Off the top of my head, I at least twice. So yeah, he's shining right now. He's given obviously an outsized opportunity with all the guys that are sidelined due to injury. But you know what? You want guys to take advantage of that chance.
Well, we'll keep you dialed in right here. You're going to be able to hear the pre, half, and post, of course, with Jake, Scott, and Tim LaComb right here on the program as well. And we're going to dial you in and get you ready. The call for the Utah Jazz versus the Toronto Raptors coming up next right here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Stay dialed in. We appreciate you joining here. We appreciate you joining us here at John Watson Chevrolet today as well. We'll be back again tomorrow. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.